Hey guys, just making a quick video on why you would want to hire a virtual assistant. So I get this all the time when I talk to real estate investors like land flippers, house wholesalers, plus, like house flippers, you name it. And the ones that I talk to and they have never hired a virtual assistant, they don't really know like what the virtual assistant can do. They don't really know, for instance, who they are. A lot of people have like heard of it, like in passing, but they don't actually like put two and two together on why they would need one for themselves. So, used to when I was doing this, when I was starting off, like when I still had a job and everything, and it was like I was doing everything, and it was awful when I was having to do every single thing for the business. It was from marketing to the sales to handling the contract stuff, emails, you name it. I had to do it just like what you're encountering right now. The reason you want to hire a virtual assistant is as soon as you can afford it, they make your life so much easier. And not just with saving you hours, which they save you a tremendous amount of hours in general. So, you could imagine if you've got one virtual assistant, even if they're part-time and they're working 20 hours a week, or if they're full-time at, let's say, 40 hours a week, they're going to do so much during that time. And that gives you more time to focus either on, like a lot of people are still working a job who are working real estate. So it gives you more time to focus on your current job, or it gives you more time to go get more deals, or it'll give you just more family time and time off. So for me, I was wanting to do more deals, and that way I was able to bring on a couple in the beginning, and I had them doing the extremely repetitive task to where the reason that I gave them those tasks was because they were the easiest to train them to do. And that's what I always advise everyone to do. Make sure you give the repetitive task away first because they're easy to train and it's easy to like grade them on and give them feedback on. For me at this point, like right now, I've got a team of 4 that are full-time, and then we have others that come in and do like project-based type things. And it changes the whole dynamic, because what you might have went from like you absolutely hated to do or you didn't have the time to do, now when you show up, it's just done. And it's like the best feeling ever, when especially if you're already working a job. Imagine you could hand those things off, all those tasks that needed to get done. And literally when you wake up, if they're working at night time for you, and that's because a lot of the virtual assistants that we would recommend hiring, they actually come from the Philippines. And because the time difference is like, let's say it's 13 hours, then they're going to be working when you're going to bed. And then they'll be completing their work about when you wake up. So when you wake up, all those tasks that you needed done were done. It could be things to do with like data, or just almost you name it. They can do a lot of things at night. We have different virtual assistants to do different things. So yes, some of them can work during the day for you. So that would be graveyard their time. It's just whatever task you need done will depend on what shift they work. So with my team of 4, with them being full-time, let's say they're working about 170 hours a month times 4 people. It is pretty amazing what they can achieve. And they can be anyone from, let's say, a high school education to an associate's degree, a bachelor's, a master's degree. They have all levels of education. Keep in mind, these are just regular everyday people from all walks of life. So the only thing that makes them a virtual assistant is that they're going to work from their own house, and they're going to work from either their own computer or laptop, and they're just going to get done whatever you need. And the reason that a lot of times they're from the Philippines, or let's say Venezuela, or India and many other countries, Pakistan's another one, anywhere that it allows you to pay them a good living wage, but for you being in the US, it actually is very cheap. You can get extremely qualified people for anywhere from like $2 or $3 an hour up to, let's say, $10 an hour. Oftentimes in those amounts of money, pay ranges, that is like a very good living there. It's not uncommon if you were to start paying someone $5 an hour, they're making sometimes 2 to 3 times what they were making as a Filipino living in the Philippines. It is incredible money over there sometimes for them, depending on what job they did have before, they found out about the ability for them to be a virtual assistant and then to come and work for you. Just keep in mind that they're all walks of life. They can do almost any task. 2 of ours on my team, they are data analysts, and we've also got another generalist virtual assistant, but now they have transitioned into being more of a junior data analyst and researcher, and they are also all doing, some writing and tasks and stuff like that. But basically, if you can think of it, they can do it. For the marketing side, some of the most common tasks that people are doing for real estate investors a lot of it is marketing. So they could be cold calling for you. They could be handling any kind of marketing campaign that you could imagine, whether it's social media or it's, there's really no limit. If you are doing it, and it does not have to be something physically done, like putting in a yard sign on the side of a street, these virtual assistants can do it. So just to be clear, this is not a recruiting company. I don't do that. I actually am against that sort of thing. What I do is I just help people and then show them how to do it from start to finish so that there's no gaps in the knowledge and what it takes to actually do this, and especially trying to do it at scale. So it doesn't matter if you need 1 or if you need to hire 5 or 10. We can show you how to do that, and that is literally what we do. But on back to why would you do this? It's going to be to save you hours, or it's going to be to save you hours so that you can be with family, or for make your job life easier or your work life for your business easier. But it really is kind of all over the board on that. Me personally, I would never want to go back without having a virtual assistant. It's very hard. One of the people that I heard a while back was Dave Ramsey. He was actually on a podcast with someone was interviewing him, I believe, and he was talking about when he started off, and it was just him doing all of it. And he actually elaborated on it was life-changing once he got a team, because it's just so hard doing it all yourself. Just think about what you're doing that you don't like to do because of it being time-consuming or it does not fit your personality type. There's a ton of things that I had to do that went against my personality type. Just sitting there doing repetitive tasks for me was very difficult. Just like a lot of entrepreneurs, they may have ADHD. I certainly do. So I would rather bounce around and then check on tasks and also switch up my tasks quite often, instead of just doing things like working on data for spreadsheets. And because we do deal with a lot of very large lead list for mailing campaigns and just marketing purposes in general. And it is very tedious to go through there. And you could even use your imagination if you had to look at each row of data for some reason to see if the lead is qualified or to see if the property is one you would even want to market to. So those types of things that take literally hours. We have done marketing campaigns to where it was tens of thousands of rows of data in Excel spreadsheets. And we might have as much as like a team of 5 virtual assistants going through and looking at every property to see, is that a property that we would even want to make an offer on? And it was just to save on our marketing dollars. So, you can think about stuff being as repetitive as that, to where literally they're doing the same thing, even a couple or a few times a minute. To, they could be doing things more of like what a generalist virtual assistant would do. And it could be things like emails and more like admin task, like even inputting leads into a software, that kind of stuff. So just think about anything that you wouldn't want to do or that you don't like doing, but you still want to make sure that it is getting done properly. So it's just like, having oversight and just making sure that it's being done well. So, I would just ask you, can you already in your head think of, let's say, 2 or 3 tasks, or maybe even 4 or 5 tasks that you're like, hey, if I never had to do that again, my life would be measurably better, okay? I'm sure that you could come up with some, especially if you're already just one solo person. So think about that. And I invite you to watch some of our other videos here. And there's going to be a couple of them coming that I'm going to actually make that are going to be very lengthy. And I'm going to spell out, and we're going to go from start to finish in it. And that way you can see the overview of like, hey, so these are the tasks they can do. And this is from start to finish of like the mindset all the way until you actually like hire them, onboard them, train them. And we're going to lay it all out so you can kind of see how it works. It is not nearly as complicated as people think, but with anything in business, there are a lot of ways that you can mess up, because everywhere that you transition from one thing to another, or if there's a decision that can be made, there's always going to be a way to mess it up. So it's just super important to make sure that you're doing it properly. And I'm going to cover things from, trying to be careful not to like micromanage, making sure that you're taking care of them at work and allowing them to have a good work life on their part. And then we're actually going to talk about in depth of, the easiest way to do this. I mean, because a lot of this is simple. It's not necessarily easy, but we're going to try to make it as easy as possible to get down what you need to see in order to decide, hey, this is something I really like how this looks. I've definitely made a decision now. I need virtual assistants. And so I wish y'all the best. Be thinking of a few tasks that they could be doing so that as you're watching these videos, you already have like it in your head to where this is what I would love to get rid of. That way you can put all of this into context when you're watching these videos. Because some of these, especially when we talk about onboarding and training and the types of virtual assistants that you could hire, and the types meaning like what degrees they have and what type of work experience they have. So thanks for watching. Make sure to check out a couple more of these videos. I might even throw a link to a video that's important in the description of this video. Thank you.